The year was 1000 AD. Across Europe, bells rang in the night, not for celebration, but for fear. Priests whispered that the end of the world was near. Kings confessed their sins. Peasants abandoned their homes, because the Bible had described it all: war, famine, death, and a final rider that no one could escape. For centuries, believers have looked at the same passage and wondered if they were living in the last days. This is not myth. This is not fiction. This is the book that terrified empires. This is the prophecy of the Four Horsemen, and you're watching A Veil of Crime. The final book of the New Testament is called the Book of Revelation. It was written near the end of the 1st century AD, most likely during the reign of the Roman Emperor Domitian. The author identifies himself simply as John. Early Christian tradition holds that he was John the Apostle, exiled to the island of Patmos. Revelation is not a story. It's an apocalyptic vision, a symbolic description of the end of the world, written during a time when Christians were facing persecution under the Roman Empire. In this vision, John sees heaven open and a scroll sealed with 7 seals. Only one figure is worthy to open it: the Lamb, a symbolic representation of Christ. As each seal is broken, a new disaster is unleashed on earth. The first 4 seals reveal the most famous images in all of biblical prophecy: the Four Horsemen. The first seal is opened. John writes, "And I look, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering, and to conquer." Revelations 6:2. Scholars have debated this figure for centuries. Some early Christians believe that the rider symbolized Christ himself, spreading the gospel. Others believed that he represented false messiahs or conquering empires. In later interpretations, he became the embodiment of conquest, the first sign of the end. The second seal is opened. A red horse appears. "And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him to take peace from the earth, and they should kill one another." Revelation 6:4. The rider represents war, not just battles between armies, but chaos, civil violence, and the collapse of order. To many Christians living under Roman persecution, this was not a prophecy, it was reality. The third seal is broken, and a black horse emerges, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. Revelations 6:5. A voice announces the price of wheat and barley. Food is so expensive that a day's wages could barely feed one person. The rider represents famine. In the ancient world, famine often followed war. Crops were burned, trade routes collapsed, and entire cities starved. To John's original audience, this was a familiar terror. Then comes the final rider. "And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him." Revelation 6:8. The Greek word used for pale here is chloris, a sickly greenish color, the color of decay. Death rides the final horse, and behind him comes Hades, the grave. Together, they are given power over a quarter of the earth. War, famine, pestilence, and wild beasts. All the ways humanity has always died. For nearly 2,000 years, these 4 riders have haunted the human imagination. During the Black Death of the 1300s, many believed the 4th horseman had arrived. In times of world war, famine, and plague, the prophecy returned again and again. The idea was simple: when the horsemen ride, the end is near. In the year 1000, some Europeans feared Christ would return at the end of the millennium. During the year 1666, marked by plague and the Great Fire of London, many believed the apocalypse had begun. In the 20th century, world wars, nuclear weapons, and global pandemics revived the same fear. Every generation has looked at the same verses and wondered if it was finally happening. But historians and biblical scholars point out something important. Revelation was written to Christians under Roman rule. The symbols likely describe the political violence, famine, and persecution they were already experiencing. To them, the horsemen were not just future threats, they were the reality of life in a dangerous empire. This message was not only about destruction, it was also about endurance. Because in Revelation, the horsemen do not have the final word. After judgment comes renewal. After chaos comes a new heaven and a new earth. For 2,000 years, the Four Horsemen have ridden through human imagination, through plagues, through wars, and through collapsing kingdoms. And each time, people have asked the same question: is this the beginning of the end? Or is this just another chapter in a world that has always known conquest, war, famine, and death? If you enjoy historically accurate true crime, dark history, and Bible based stories like this one, make sure to subscribe to A Veil of Crime. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee. The link is on the channel. Because history is full of crimes, but some of the darkest were written as prophecy.